My sister lied that I hit her and my parents believed it, so I took her to court, won, and walked away without a word. I'm a 24-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the easy one to blame. It didn't matter what the situation was, if something went missing, if there was an argument, if a vase got broken. I was the one standing in the metaphorical spotlight, expected to confess to crimes I didn't commit. Meanwhile, my sister Maya was the family's shining star. She's only 2 years younger than me, but you'd think she descended from heaven the way my parents talk about her. Straight A's, a natural charmer, could cry on command, and somehow always managed to twist situations in her favor. She'd bat her eyelashes, put on that hurt little girl face, and everyone around her would melt. Me, I was the quiet one, the one who didn't talk back, the one who'd rather retreat to my room than start another pointless argument. I remember once when the TV remote broke, I wasn't even home. I came back from my friend's house, and my dad was already waiting with that disappointed look. "Why can't you just admit it?" he said. "It's always you." My mom chimed in, "You're stronger than Maya. You can handle the punishment." They framed it like a compliment, but it was just a way of saying, "You're the scapegoat because you won't fight back." So I learned to keep my head down, apologize, move on, swallow the bitterness. It became my default survival strategy. But looking back now, I realized that every time I stayed silent, every time I let Maya get away with something, I was giving her more power. I was training my entire family to believe that I was always the problem, and she was always the victim. I didn't know it yet, but that quiet acceptance was about to be used against me in the worst possible way. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day that starts off so normal, you never imagine it could end with your life unraveling. I had just gotten home from my shift at the campus library, exhausted but relieved to finally crash on the couch. I hadn't seen Maya all day. She'd supposedly gone out with some friends. About half an hour later, the front door slammed. I heard her footsteps, quick, shaky, and then a sound that froze me, sobbing. She stumbled into the living room, eyes red, body trembling. "Mom, Dad," she wailed, clutching her left arm. Within seconds, my parents came running. She pointed at me, voice breaking. He hit me." For a split second, I thought she was joking. It didn't register. I laughed nervously. "Maya, what are you talking about?" "I haven't even..." But then my dad's face hardened. My mom gasped, covering her mouth. Maya pulled up her sleeve, revealing a faint bluish mark on her upper arm. It wasn't big, but it looked deliberate enough to send a chill through the room. I stood up, confused. "I didn't touch you." "I wasn't even enough!" my dad roared. "We always knew something was off about you." I should have seen this coming. I stared at them, heart pounding. My mom looked at me like I was a stranger. No one asked where I was that day. No one asked for an explanation. Their minds were made up the moment Maya cried, and in that moment something inside me cracked. All the years of taking the blame, of being the strong one, of being silent, they all led to this. To my family looking at me like I was a monster, I didn't know it yet, but this was the first domino. Once it tipped, everything else followed. The moment the words left Maya's mouth, the entire house shifted. My dad's face turned red, veins popping at his temples, and before I could even react, he was on me. He shoved me hard against the wall, his hand pressing against my shoulder like he was restraining a criminal. "Get out!" he hissed. "Get out of this house right now! Dad, listen to me!" I tried, but he pushed harder, his eyes burning with disgust. My mom stood a few feet away, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What happened to you?" she cried. "You've turned into a monster." Her voice cracked on the last word, and that hurt more than the shove. These were the same people who raised me, the same people who were supposed to know me better than anyone else. Maya stood behind them, wide-eyed and clutching her arm like I was some unpredictable beast about to lunge. She was playing the part perfectly. Her trembling lip, her quiet sniffles, the way she avoided my gaze as if she was too afraid. I looked from one face to the next, waiting for someone, anyone, to say, "This doesn't make sense." But no one did. My dad opened the door and barked, "Leave, now, before I do something I regret." I was barefoot. My phone was still on the kitchen counter. My wallet was upstairs. But at that moment, I realized it didn't matter. This wasn't my home anymore. So I stepped outside into the cold night air with nothing, not even shoes. My heart pounded in my chest, and the door slammed behind me like a judge's gavel. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. If I stayed, they'd destroy me. I wandered for almost an hour before I finally sat on a curb near a gas station and pulled a crumpled bill from my pocket, just enough to use a payphone. I couldn't think straight. My mind kept replaying the moment my dad shoved me, the look in Maya's eyes, the way my mom called me a monster. I called the only person I could trust, Ryan, my best friend since we were kids. He answered on the second ring. "Dude, where are you?" 10 minutes later, he pulled up in his beat-up Corolla, headlights cutting through the dark like salvation. I climbed in without a word. I think he saw the way my hands were shaking because he didn't ask questions right away. Just turned up the heat and drove. When we got to his place, his mom was still awake. Mrs. Franklin, the kind of woman who always treated me like I was her own. She took one look at me, pale, barefoot, hollowed out, and said, "You look like you've seen a ghost." Then she handed me a blanket and a cup of chamomile tea like it was second nature. I sat on their couch and stared at the floor for a while. Then the words started pouring out. I told them everything. The accusation. The bruise. How my own family didn't even hesitate to throw me out. Ryan sat beside me the whole time, silent but steady. His mom frowned, thoughtful. "That story doesn't add up," she finally said. That girl always knew how to twist people around her little finger. Something inside me cracked open, not from pain, but from clarity. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't evil. I was just the one who never fought back, and lying there on a lumpy couch under a scratchy blanket, I made a silent promise. I'm done being the scapegoat. Whatever it takes, I'm going to make them see the truth. The next morning, I stared at my phone screen for what felt like forever before finally typing out a message to Maya. It was short, direct but calm. "Why are you doing this to me?"
She read it within minutes. Those little gray check marks confirmed it, but never replied.
Just left me on red, like I wasn't even worth an explanation. That silence hit harder than the lie itself. I knew I had to find a way to defend myself, to prove I wasn't even near her when she claimed I hit her. And that's when I remembered Sam, my cousin. We'd spent the entire afternoon together on the day Maya said it happened. I called him and told him everything. At first, he was stunned. "Wait, what? You hit Maya? That's impossible. You were with me the whole day." "Exactly." Without me even asking, he offered to write a formal statement, said he'd back me up however I needed. Then he paused. "Hey, remember that photo I took at the diner? The one we posted to our story?" I nearly dropped the phone. He pulled it up and sent me a screenshot. It was time-stamped to the exact hour Maya claimed the incident happened. With shaky hands and a surge of desperate hope, I compiled everything into a single email. Sam's statement. The time-stamped photo. A short message, please. Just look at this. I didn't do it. I sent it to my parents. Sat there watching the screen like it might save my life. An hour later, I got a reply from my mom. 4 words. We're not stupid, name. Then another from my dad. Stop manipulating people. This only proves you're unstable. They didn't even look at the evidence. Or if they did, they chose not to care. And that's when I realized they didn't want the truth. They wanted a villain. Later that night, I sat at the kitchen table with Ryan and his mom, scrolling through the old family group chat where someone had posted a picture of Maya's bruise, probably my mom, trying to rally sympathy. I hadn't paid close attention to it at first. All I saw was the accusation, the disbelief in their eyes, the pain. But now, under better lighting and clearer eyes, I stared at that image like it held the answer to everything. Ryan leaned over my shoulder. That doesn't even look like a punch. Look at the shape. His mom, Mrs. Franklin, quietly put down her tea. Can I see that? She asked gently. I passed her the phone. She enlarged the photo, examining it with the kind of quiet precision only a nurse would have. That's not consistent with a strike, she finally said. It's too symmetrical. Looks more like pressure marks. You know, something like pushing the edge of a table or pinching hard enough to break capillaries. The room went still. You're saying she did it herself? I asked, barely above a whisper. Mrs. Franklin didn't nod, but her silence said everything. I can't diagnose based on a photo, she added carefully, but it's not what I'd expect from blunt force trauma. Not unless someone was holding something between their fingers when they hit her. And even then, this just doesn't match. I sat back, cold creeping up my spine. I knew Maya was manipulative. I'd seen her lie before, but this was a whole new level. Why would she do that? What did she gain from getting me thrown out? Was it power? Attention? Some sick need to be the center of drama? Or maybe she just wanted me gone. Either way, one thing was terrifyingly clear now. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated move. And Maya wasn't just playing games anymore. She was building a case, one that could ruin my life. I thought being thrown out of my own house was the worst of it. I was wrong. Because a few days later, Maya took the war online. She didn't post my name outright. She was too smart for that. Instead, she started uploading vague, emotionally charged reels. Teary-eyed close-ups with captions like, "He said no one would believe me, but I'm speaking out anyway." She shared black and white text slides about survivors, trauma, healing after violence. Each one more dramatic than the last. And the comments, God. People I didn't even know were calling her brave, asking if she was safe, offering their homes and prayers. Then came the indirect stories. Cryptic lines like, "When your own blood turns into your abuser," or "It's always the ones who seem quietest." I watched in horror as people from school, from church, even distant relatives began liking and reposting her stuff. Some of them messaged me with pure venom. "You're disgusting. Hope you rot in hell." My own aunt, my mom's sister, called Ryan's house. She didn't ask for my side. She didn't even say hello. She just said, "You're a danger to women, and I hope Maya gets justice." Then came the final blow. One of my tutoring clients, the Hendersons, texted me saying they were canceling their sessions. The mom said, "We can't have someone with those accusations around our daughter." I sat there staring at my phone like it was on fire. All the silence, the denial, the hope that this would blow over, gone. Maya wasn't stopping. She wasn't even slowing down. She wanted to burn me to the ground. And the scary part? It was working. That night I lay awake, heart pounding, rage bubbling under my skin. And for the first time in my life, I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I was going to fight back, not with fists, not with words, but with the law. Finding a lawyer when you're broke, jobless, and living on a friend's couch isn't exactly easy. But I wasn't looking for someone flashy. I just needed someone who would listen. After 2 days of cold emails and rejection calls, I stumbled across the website of a small legal clinic downtown. They offered low-cost consultations, and something about the profile of one attorney stood out. Noor Malik. Civil litigation, early 30s, tough eyes. I showed up early, holding a manila folder with everything I had, screenshots of Maya's posts, Sam's statement, the diner photo. My hands were shaking. Noor sat across from me in a tiny, cluttered office that smelled like printer toner and determination. She listened, didn't interrupt, didn't roll her eyes, just sat there flipping through the papers with quiet focus. When I was done talking, she finally looked up. "So your sister publicly implied you abused her, got you kicked out, cost you work, and refuses to correct the narrative, even after you showed evidence?" I nodded. She leaned back in her chair. "We've got a defamation case. Possibly emotional distress damages. But this won't be easy. Family cases rarely are. And if she plays the victim in court, we'll need more than screenshots. We'll need something airtight." Her words sank in slowly. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope, but also fear. Going legal meant this would get uglier. It meant risking more people turning on me. Noor must have seen it in my face because she added, "You're not the first person to be vilified by their own family. But if what you're saying is true, we can fight this. You just have to be ready." I nodded again, firmer this time. "I'm ready." And I meant it because Maya had started a war. And finally, I wasn't backing down. The legal notice went out 2 days later. Noor drafted it with sharp, unshakable language. Accusation of defamation, emotional damages, character assassination. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning shot. And once it was delivered, the energy online shifted like a thunderclap. Maya didn't respond directly. Of course not. That would have meant acknowledging the truth. But what she did next was pure performance art. She posted a long, dramatic caption under a black and white photo of herself looking tearful in a hoodie. The price of speaking out is being silenced all over again, but I won't back down. Truth doesn't need a court ruling to exist. The comments flooded in. People called me a coward. A predator. Said I was weaponizing the system to intimidate a survivor. My own cousin, on my mom's side, shared it to her story with the words, "Disgusted, but not surprised." Then the doorbell rang at Ryan's house. I opened it to find my parents, standing stiff and cold like statues. My dad's jaw was tight. "You really think this is going to fix anything?" He snapped. My mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Please stop this. You're making things worse for everyone. Just let it go. Come home," I almost laughed. Come home like nothing had happened? I didn't speak. I just walked back inside, grabbed the envelope Noor had prepared with the timeline, witness list, and evidence packet and handed it to them. "This is everything," I said. "If you still believe her after reading this, then maybe I was never your son to begin with." My dad didn't even take it. My mom did, reluctantly, and clutched it like it might bite her. They didn't say another word. They just left. And for the first time, I realized this fight wasn't just about Maya anymore. It was about finally being seen, or walking away from them forever. Just when I thought I had nothing left to give this fight, the universe threw me a bone. Or maybe it was karma, finally catching up. I was sitting in Ryan's room, scrolling through every message, post, timestamp, trying to build a stronger case with Noor's checklist in front of me. I must have gone over the timeline 50 times, but something wasn't clicking. Then Ryan walked in, holding his phone. "Dude, I think I found something." He looked stunned, almost scared. He pulled up footage from his Ring doorbell camera, a clip from about a week before Maya made the accusation. She had dropped by to bring him some notes. They were both in the same psychology class. In the video, Maya was standing casually on the porch, chatting, laughing. And then she said it. "You know, if I ever accused my name of hitting me, literally no one would question it. He's so emotionally shut down, it's easy to make him look guilty." She laughed like it was some harmless joke. Like she hadn't already planted the seed in her mind. I felt my throat close up. My chest started pounding. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was proof of premeditation. Ryan stared at me. "You think this will help?" I didn't answer. I was already texting Noor. Within 10 minutes, I was sitting across from her again, laptop open, footage playing. She watched the clip without blinking. When it ended, she leaned back and whispered, "That's the smoking gun. This is everything," she said, eyes sharp with new intensity. "It proves intent. It shows manipulation. It takes this from he said, she said to she planned this." I felt like I could breathe for the first time in weeks. We finally had something no tears, no lies, no Instagram reel could spin away. Maya hadn't just lied. She'd engineered it. And now, for the first time, the truth had a voice louder than hers. Court isn't like the movies. There's no dramatic music, no sudden gasp when the truth comes out. It's quiet, clinical, sterile. And when it's your own family sitting across from you, the silence feels like it's eating you alive. I sat at the plaintiff's table with Noor beside me, her face calm but sharp, like a scalpel. Maya was on the other side of the room, flanked by her own attorney, an older man with a rehearsed frown and a stack of organized lies. When she walked in, she avoided my gaze. She wore a beige sweater, no makeup, hair pulled back, the classic fragile victim look. She knew how to play her part. The opening arguments felt like a blur. Maya's lawyer leaned hard into emotion, spinning a story about a broken family, a frightened girl, and a brother with unresolved anger issues. My stomach twisted at every false word. Then it was our turn. Noor stood up and laid out the timeline, cool and precise. She didn't attack Maya. She simply let the truth speak. The moment of tension came during cross-examination. Noor asked Maya to clarify her timeline. What time I supposedly hit her, where, how. Maya fumbled. She claimed it was around 2 p.m. in the living room. Noor nodded. Then pulled up the diner photo with Sam, time-stamped 2:06 p.m. Then calmly, she played the Ring doorbell footage. The courtroom went silent, Maya's face drained of color. There she was, joking about making a false accusation, laughing, plotting. Even her lawyer looked uncomfortable. But my parents, they didn't move. My mom stared at the table. My dad's jaw clenched. Not a single glance toward me. When the judge called for recess, I stepped outside, heart racing, body numb. We had the truth on our side now. And yet, I could feel something breaking, because no matter how this case ended, my parents had already made their choice, and I wasn't sure I could ever forgive them for it. The verdict came in 2 days later. We won. The court ruled in my favor. The judge acknowledged the defamation, the emotional damage, the calculated nature of Maya's actions. She was ordered to issue a public retraction, pay restitution, and remove every single post related to the false claims. Noor squeezed my shoulder as the decision was read. Ryan was in the back, fists clenched, grinning with relief. And me? I should have felt victorious. Like I had finally climbed out of the pit she buried me in, but when I turned around I saw them, my parents, sitting behind Maya. Not on my side of the courtroom. They didn't cry. They didn't even flinch. My mom looked like she was forcing herself to breathe, her hands gripping her purse like it held her together. My dad, stone, like the kind of silence that doesn't come from shock, but choice. After everything, they still stood behind her. Outside the courthouse, I caught up to them. I just needed something, anything, an explanation, my voice cracked. Did you even watch the video? Did you hear her? My mom wouldn't meet my eyes. She's your sister. She's been through a lot. A lot? I said, laughing bitterly. She tried to destroy me. My dad finally looked at me. You humiliated this family by taking it to court. That's not what blood does. I stared at him, my mouth dry. The weight of every childhood memory turning to ash. That was the moment it hit me. Not just that they didn't believe me, but that they never had. The court cleared my name, but I'd never felt so completely alone. I didn't go back to Ryan's. I didn't go celebrate. I walked. For hours. Because when your own parents choose the lie over the truth, you start to wonder if you were ever really part of that family at all. After the case, I went completely no contact. No texts, no calls, no more second chances. I blocked Maya on everything. Instagram, WhatsApp, even LinkedIn. It felt petty, but it was survival. I didn't want a single pixel of her existence near mine and my parents. I deleted their numbers too. I didn't even bother waiting for them to come around. That moment outside the courthouse told me everything I needed to know. The first few weeks were rough. I'd wake up expecting a phone call, some apology, a sliver of acknowledgement. But nothing came. Just silence. Oddly, the only place that felt like home was Ryan's couch. His mom, Mrs. Franklin, started referring to me as her third son. She'd ask if I'd eaten. Leave out folded laundry. Once, she even put a note in my backpack that said, "You matter." I hadn't cried during the court case, or even during the fallout. But when I found that note, I sat on the edge of the bathtub and sobbed like a little kid, because for the first time in my life, I felt safe. Not tolerated. Not conditionally loved, just safe. I got a new job, admin work at a small startup. It didn't pay much, but it gave me something I hadn't had in a while, routine. I moved into a tiny studio apartment 6 blocks from Ryan's place. It had a creaky floor and smelled like paint, but it was mine. Every time I turned the key, I reminded myself, I earned this. I climbed out of hell for this. I still thought about them sometimes. About Maya, about my mom's quiet eyes, my dad's stone face. But the ache dulled over time. And in that silence, something new began to bloom. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but something that looked a lot like peace. It had been almost a year. 12 months of silence. 12 months of healing, therapy, and learning to trust my own voice again. I wasn't checking my phone for missed calls anymore. I wasn't hoping for a text. I had stopped expecting closure from people who only gave me trauma, so when I saw the name Mom pop up in my inbox one morning, I just stared at it. I wasn't even sure it was real. The subject line said, "I'm sorry." I clicked it. Slowly. Half expecting more guilt, more blame. But instead I read, "We were wrong. I was wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know we saw it, the truth. We know now. Maya did the same thing to her boyfriend. She accused him of hurting her. She even bruised herself again. He had video proof just like you. She confessed. I don't know what's wrong with her. I just know I failed you. I'm so sorry we didn't believe you. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just sat there reading it over and over like I needed the words to finally mean something, but they didn't feel like an apology. Not really. They felt like too little, too late. There was no message from my dad. Of course, I never responded, because here's what they don't tell you about apologies. They don't undo anything. They don't rewind the nights you spent wondering if you were broken. They don't give you back the version of yourself that trusted too easily, and even though I appreciated her honesty, it changed nothing. I wasn't that scared, blamed, cast-out boy anymore. I had built a new life, one without secrets. One that didn't shrink every time someone raised their voice. So no, I didn't write back, but I did close the email, and for the first time since everything began, I didn't feel guilty about it. I didn't expect to ever see her again. Not in person, at least. But the universe has a twisted sense of humor. It happened on a rainy Wednesday afternoon. I'd stopped by the local bookstore, my quiet escape. I was flipping through the shelves in the psychology section when I heard a familiar voice. Soft, hesitant. I turned around and there she was. Maya. She looked thinner, older, not in age, but in spirit. Her hair was messy, tied up like she hadn't cared that morning. No makeup, no audience. Just her. Our eyes met. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Her hand went halfway up in a wave and then dropped. She didn't look angry or smug this time. She looked small. I didn't say a word, not out of pettiness, not even out of pain, just silence. I nodded once, barely, and turned back to the shelf. I felt her watching me for a few seconds, like she was waiting for permission to speak, or maybe just for me to acknowledge her more. But I didn't. Eventually, she walked away. I heard the bell above the door jingle, and just like that, she was gone again. That was the moment I realized how far I'd come. A year ago, that encounter would have shattered me. I would have spiraled, obsessed over what she was thinking, what I should have said, but not now. Now the silence was enough, because what do you say to someone who tried to ruin your life and never once admitted it? What do you offer someone who only ever took? Nothing. You offer them distance, and in that moment I knew. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need drama. I just needed to walk away and never look back. I used to think closure meant hearing, "I'm sorry," that it meant watching people finally admit what they did wrong, begging you to forgive them, but real closure? It doesn't come from them. It comes the moment you realize you don't need them anymore. After that encounter at the bookstore, I walked home slowly. No anger in my chest. No sadness either. Just air. Space. Like something heavy had finally lifted and left room for something better. My apartment was still small, the walls still a little too thin. But it was mine. My job wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. In my circle, small, solid, and full of people who actually saw me. Ryan and I still hung out most weekends. His mom still made too much food and called me her bonus son. I'd started therapy. Not to fix anything, just to understand. To stop blaming myself for being cast as the villain in someone else's play. Sometimes I still think about the boy I used to be, the one who stayed quiet, took the blame, tried to earn love by shrinking himself smaller and smaller. I grieve for him. I thank him. Because even in the silence, even through the betrayal, he never gave up. And I've realized something. Maya didn't break me. She revealed me. She pulled the mask off my family's version of love and showed me exactly what it was. Conditional, fragile, and only real when convenient. But what I have now, it's built on truth, on boundaries, on people who care without needing to control. So if you're where I was, blamed, cast out, aching for people to believe you, let me tell you this. You are not crazy. You are not alone, and you are not what they say you are. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not shouting your innocence. It's living a life so full, so free, that their lies no longer matter. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I walked away without a word, and I never looked back.